Hey, church family. Thanks for taking the time to tune in. I miss seeing you here in person, but a couple times a year, Memorial Day weekend being one of those. And then the Sunday after Christmas each year, we'll have online-only services. This gives our volunteers and workers a little extra time to spend with their families during these holidays. But I do have a special treat for you today. I got an opportunity to sit down with a member of the greatest generation, a World War II vet. And I'm anxious for you to hear a little bit about his story. And I realize Memorial Day weekend is about honoring and remembering those who were not fortunate enough to come home. But those who did are the keepers of all of their stories. And so I hope as you give it a listen, it will fill your heart with gratitude and remind us all that the freedoms that we enjoy are not free. They do come with a cost. Give it a listen. Don Hoffman, he is the father-in-law of the gentleman that owns a theater here, which we rent, and that's how we got to meet the other day. So appreciate you stopping by, taking this time to talk with us, Don. Tell us first and foremost where you was born and raised.
Born in Irvington, Virginia, down on the Rappahannock and Chesapeake Bay, 1928.
1928.
Yeah. Small fishing village.
Yeah.
There was 625 people in town. I left, it was 24.
Yep. Did they go out and change the sign or the population number when you left?
Well, at World War II broke loose, my dad drove a Greyhound bus. And he used to drive from Richmond to Irvington every day and stay home at night and then drive it back the next morning. And they took that away, and he went to... they gave him a run from Richmond to Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay.
And we moved to Richmond then, and that's where I went to school. And when I got old enough at 14, I started working on weekends from sunup to sunset, which a lot of people said I'd never do this. I worked for $2 a week and a half an hour's flying time. And that's how I got my pilot's license.
That's how you got your pilot's license.
And then it wasn't much longer after that the World War II broke out. My dad went in. My oldest brother went in first. He went in 1938. And then my dad went in 41 or 42. And my other brother went in at 43, 43, and right after he went in, I couldn't get in the Navy, and they all both were in the West Coast. And of course, the Sullivan brothers went down with the battleship, 5 of them, so they won't let the last man in the family go to the Pacific. They make them stay in the Atlantic. So I stayed in the Atlantic, and I couldn't get in the Navy, so I went in the Merchant Marines, which is just a group of ships that take supplies overseas and all. We go to Germany, and we go to England to bring the supplies for the invasion and stuff.
Yeah.
I did go to Danzig, Poland, on one run. We went through the Kiel Canal. The Kiel Canal is very narrow, but we had 1,200 horses aboard. And it was for the farmers, for them to have farm, to do their plowing and what have you. And the Kiel Canal splits off Denmark from Germany. It's very few people ever knew it. And we got to Danzig. The Russian general, which was just a kid, one of my men aboard ship hauled off and said he was taking pictures with a little brownie camera. And he hauled off and was taking pictures, think nothing of it.
Yeah.
Well, they grabbed him and called him a spy because he was taking pictures of the horses going aboard cattle train, and they were taking all the horses to Russia.
So they didn't want those pictures taken?
They didn't want them, no, and definitely. So they were going to shoot him. So I grabbed him and I said, no, you don't shoot him. I says, you take the camera and take the film. You do anything you want, but you don't get him. Now, the ship leaves here in 2 hours. He's going to be aborted. So I'm very abrupt. Well, I've got something to say to somebody. I don't say it to you.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
So I grabbed him by the arm and was going to, and all that little Russian general was saying, we shoot him, we shoot him, we shoot him. I said, oh, go on back in there and mind your own business. Goodbye. And we went back. I took him aboard ship and I said, don't you dare leave here.
Yeah.
I don't say, what you want to do, don't you get off this ship. If
Stay
you
on
do,
the ship.
you will be shot.
Wow.
And don't you think he won't do it.
Yeah. It just dawned on me that you said 28. You were born in 28.
28.
So sort of the beginning of the Depression.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do. We have, like I say, we lived in a fishing village.
Yeah.
And my main meal was oatmeal, 3-minute stuff.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, you didn't have a whole lot, but we did have fish.
Yeah.
And we would take a 5-gallon lard can, we call it, and we would take mackerel and fix them flat and build them up in there with the brine and everything. And you have fish for breakfast and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was, it wasn't really as rough as a lot of people had it.
Yeah.
Because we had, we did have.
You had food.
Food.
Yeah. You could make.
You wanted to go down to, I lived right on the Rappahannock in Chesapeake Bay, and I could go down and take a fishing line and catch me a fish right then.
So I guess back in that day, as long as you had something to eat, I mean, that's, that makes sort of all the difference in the world.
Definitely.
As long as there's food on the table. Yeah. And then when it sort of began to get better economically, it wasn't long you were going into the service.
Yeah.
And what age were you when you got in?
Well, I was almost 15.
Almost 15.
I was about 14.
14 years old.
Between 14 and 15, somewhere's in that line. I remember the guy at the dock there says, you 17? I said, yes, sir. And a buddy of mine in school, high school, he says, you 17 too? We both were the same age. I had him by 1 month.
How about that?
And I said, yes, sir. I said, when does this ship leave? He says, 7 o'clock in the morning. I said, well, we can't hitchhike back to Richmond, get our birth certificate, and then hitchhike back here. He says, well, I'm going to let you go, but I don't think you're 17. See, when you join the Merchant Marines, you don't get paid until you get back. So many ships were sunk and lost a lot of people.
And how long were you in the Merchant Marines?
2 years.
2 years.
43 to 45, and it was about 6 months before I went in the Navy from there.
I see. And how long were you in the Navy?
15 years.
15 years. Yeah.
I would have stayed longer, but my wife didn't like the last ship I was on. I just got married 15 years before that, and first thing you know, we went from Philadelphia with a geographical survey ship and went down to a sandbar in Florida. And from Florida, we read the papers to see what we were going to do. And we left that sandbar and went straight to South Africa. And we had 18 scientists aboard. And that little sandbar was going to be Cape Canaveral.
And the sandbar that you left from would eventually become
Cape Canaveral. And we went every 100 miles, we would drop a stainless steel pipe, and in that pipe would be a plastic pipe. And then every 100 feet would be a gauge about that long. And as that hit the bottom of the ocean, these things would flop over and take samples.
Mm.
And that's what took us so long.
Okay.
All the way to South Africa. And then we left there and went to Rio de Janeiro, and then from there back to the Cape.
Mm.
And then from there, we came back to Delaware, to Philadelphia, and they put me out. That was the last time I was aboard ship.
How about that?
And I got my discharge. I had a real good deal, but she wouldn't take it. I had a little girl, and I figured, Navy or my daughter?
Yeah.
So I chose my daughter.
Yeah. I remember you telling us too when you also were on an explosion or in a team.
And when I was in Berlin, I was supposed to blow 3 bridges up.
Okay.
They could keep the Russians from getting us. And I had to go to demolition school in Stuttgart, Germany. And we were blowing tanks up, old German tanks and all, and this and that, cutting trees down with peppermint stick and stuff.
The
peppermint stick is a fuse, which is red and white, and then a fuse is orange. You never hook a cap up. It's like a cigarette lighter. You pull the pin, and it sets a line on fire.
Okay.
And I caught a kid that didn't realize what he was doing. He wrapped a peppermint stick around a tree and then put a fuse on it. And just by the time I saw him do that, I said, this ain't right. And I run and hit him and knocked him down. And he says, what'd you do that for? I said, keep from killing yourself, you stupid. You know what? And he says, well, I was doing what I'm supposed to. I said, no. You put an orange line to the peppermint stick, and then you fuse.
Mm.
And
what would that peppermint stick have done?
It blows 28,000 feet per second.
Mm.
It would have blown his head off.
Oh, my goodness.
It cut that tree down. Tree that big around, you cut a tree down with it.
My goodness.
So somebody had set a tank off, and we were about 50 feet away from it. And all of a sudden, they howl a fire in the hole. You run and dive behind a bank or something.
Mm.
But 3 of us dove behind this bank, and we were shoulder to shoulder. And I heard this thing, shoo, 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 shoo. And I knew it was a piece of shrapnel come flying.
Mm.
But I just figured it went over us because we were down about that far from the bank down. And all of a sudden, Jimmy was over there, and then Kite was here, and I was here, and we were all 3 shoulder to shoulder. And Jimmy says, okay, Kite, we can go. You count to 10 after the explosion, then you can go.
Because some stuff could blow up in the air, and
right.
You
wait 10. You count to 10 because something might be still flying.
Mm.
And I said, Kite ain't going no place.
Mm.
And he says, what? I said, yeah, Kite's head's cut off right here.
Oh, my goodness.
Cut him off. And that's what that little was doing.
And he was right beside you.
Yeah.
Shoulder to shoulder.
So the instructor was a lieutenant in the Army, and he couldn't handle it. He had to quit.
Mm.
He couldn't handle it.
It's also a part of your job here along the eastern seaboard. If a pilot were to go down, sometimes equipment error or pilot error or whatever, but they would go down, but able to land it and not crash, but just sink to the bottom of the sink to the bottom of the ocean. Then you would go. It was your job to go get them,
pull him out.
Yeah.
And like I was telling you, I go to Langley, and I go to the Navy and the Army, and talk to these young. They look like they're 16, 17-year-old flying these F-18 Super Hunters, and I said, when you hit the water, when you pull the injection seats, when you pull that thing, if that canopy don't jump up 3 inches so the wind can take it off, I said, it's jammed. It ain't going to come up. That way, keep your oxygen mask on. We can get you within a day, a half a day, a day and a half, even up to 2 days. But you got air that'll keep you alive for 2.5 days. But no, you have to pull that off, and then you drown.
Then you drown.
So,
because they're stuck inside the.
They're stuck in there. No.
In there.
They unhook
hit the water, so they're encased in water. I mean, so they're in water.
Oh yeah.
Inside, even inside there,
Yeah.
and at the bottom of the ocean, you know pretty much where they went down.
We'll find you within a day and a half or 2 days, easy.
And how many of those guys did you recover, the bodies?
Well, somewhere around 18 to 22 of them, somewhere's in that category.
And
they all of them pull mask.
They pull their mask.
You don't pull a mask.
Yeah. How many were you able to save alive?
Between 4 and 5.
4 and 5.
Yeah.
So what would you say? You was telling me the other day, 92.
October 15th, I'll be 93.
93. Gets around good. We tried to set this little interview up for Tuesday, but I called Don. He said, nope, that's my golf day. And so still out and about, swinging a golf club. And just tremendous for a spry 93. What would you say to the young people today? Maybe that 14, almost 15-year-old young person out there today.
Well, like I say, I've had 3 or 4 wrecks or 3 or 4 times that I should have been dead. Just always remember that God's always with you.
He's always there. You can't end a conversation any better than that. The Lord's always there. I appreciate your time, Don. Appreciate you coming out to talk with us. Again, I realize that this weekend is to remember those who aren't here to tell their stories, but I think in some significant, meaningful way, those who were there, who have lost friends, who have lost family members, who were also willing to put their life on the line and was fortunate enough to come back, that we need to hear all of those stories, and to remember. For me, it just it helps me to keep things into perspective about what's truly important, and never forget the freedoms that we enjoy, the freedoms that we enjoy here in this country. That it wasn't free. It's a cost, and
big cost.
A big cost.
A big cost indeed. John chapter 15 and verse 13 says, "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." I'd like to thank Don and all of those who are willing to demonstrate that very verse. By the grace of God and their sacrifice, we enjoy the freedoms that we have still today. And let me encourage you this Memorial Holiday weekend to give a few moments to think of those who did pay that ultimate price. And maybe get a chance to thank some of those who are willing to do so. I appreciate you tuning in this Sunday, and look forward to seeing you in person next week, June the 6th at 4 p.m. right here at the theater. God bless you.